Okay, so what software should you use for pixel art? That's a question I've probably been asked personally more than any other question in the world. And ideally, this video is just going to be something that I could send to people whenever they ask that question, rather than having to write out Sprite another couple hundred times. Saying that, questions do boost engagement, so I won't mind if people continue asking this question. But yeah, the short answer is Sprite. Now, if that's all you wanted to know, then I'll see you later. But if you want more of an explanation, how about we go into that now? So, probably from around 2015 to 2016, I tried to animate in Photoshop. Yes, Adobe Photoshop. And it was an absolute nightmare. You had to do all these things with layers and visibility and the timeline, and it was all a mess. It just wasn't very fun to animate in. It wasn't easy, it wasn't intuitive, and it was the most stressful thing. Okay, so I was really trying to find something which could let me animate in a way that was much easier, with just a simple timeline that I can use. And so in 2016, or thereabouts, I started looking for some software which had a timeline, which is when I then landed upon the Sprite website. There's a nice rhyme for you. And I saw they had exactly what I needed, just a very simple timeline. That's all I wanted. I saw a nice little picture of it on their website, showing the little frames and how you can go across the timeline and how you can draw on the different frames. It's very simple animation software, and I thought, okay, great. And it was only 15 quid, which was even better for my however old self, my teenage self who didn't want to dish out a shed load of cash, okay? I just wanted a one-time purchase that cost nothing and then move on with my life. And so that's what I did. And I had this very simple timeline, okay? If I wanted to add a frame, I just clicked the new frame button. Oh my gosh, no longer am I having to do that weird stuff in Photoshop with layers and visibility and whatever dodgy timeline they have, okay? Mind you, this is old Photoshop. I don't know what they're doing now. Maybe it's better, maybe it's more usable, but back then it was dreadful, okay? So finally, at last, now I can press a button and add a new frame, and then if I want to delete one of these frames, I just press the delete button and it goes away. And so now I could do this wonderful thing where I want to go to frame 1 and I want to put a square on this frame. And then I want to put a square on this frame. Oh wait, and then I want to just add a new frame and then move it to the right, and then add another frame and move it to the right again. Oh my gosh, so much freedom. Everything is far less tedious now, and I can do stuff like this right within a few seconds without wanting to pull my hair out. Now, is this video going to be me running through, the 20 other pieces of software out there? No, because I don't have experience with those other pieces of software, and so it's very difficult for me to say anything on them. This video is just me giving my 2 cents on this software and why I use it, okay? So if you are an animator, or if your main goal is to do animation, then I would highly recommend this software because it has the basic necessities, all you really need, and that's just a usable timeline. Something that you can easily rearrange, manage, like if I want to move these frames, I can do that. If I want to delete these, I can do that. If I decide actually I want this layer, and then I want to move this entire thing down, I can do that, right? Everything's very flexible, it's very easy, it's not overcomplicated. As long as you get familiar with just this timeline, then you have so much freedom to do stuff. From my perspective, it's very simple, okay? Now, I have done a video in the past, I think it was my first video on some basic tips on how to use this software, or just a basic introduction to all the different features, all the different possibilities and tools. And so you can watch that if you want to learn more about all the different nuances and the different tools in this software. But this right here, this is what sold me, on top of the fact that it only cost £15 at the time, which is like, I don't know, $20? 20 US dollars? It's not much compared to all the other software at the time, especially Adobe software, where you're not only spending £15 once, but you're spending over £15 once a month, okay? Which again was not appealing to my 15-year-old self. Now, if you're not really interested in the whole animation part of pixel art and you just like drawing single frame pictures, then my advice there would be that you can pretty much use anything out there. I've seen people use Microsoft Paint, Photoshop, GIMP, Sprite, right? You can do it with pretty much anything. To create it, you don't really need a special tool. You just need something that allows you to create a very small canvas and then have a pencil tool of some kind where you can draw 1 pixel. 1 pixel. There you go. That's all you really need to do that stuff, okay? I don't think you should overcomplicate it by considering what software to buy, whether you need some fancy special pixel art software. No, I don't think that's necessary. If you are trying to animate, however, I would highly, highly recommend looking into this. Now, am I sponsored by A-Sprite? No. Perhaps I will be one day, who knows? I have done stuff with the owner of A-Sprite before. Maybe I'll put a video on the screen of one of the trailers I helped out with. So I do have some connection to them, but yeah, not sponsored right now. This is just my 2 cents. This is just my own personal experience with using this software. And hopefully that answers the question of what software I use.